Well, you may think that registered sex offenders are not allowed to live near schools.
Oh, but that's not always the case, as one metro neighborhood found out. Ryan Katz shows how they're fighting to change the law.
Neighbors wanted to know how it was possible, so we investigated to learn more about the convicted child molester living on their street. We discovered the sex offender was following the rules, but the state agency responsible for supervising him had no idea he was here. Spend a few minutes with Joanna Doherty and her 4 kids, and it doesn't take long to see the Olathe mom has her hands full.
Not in his face, okay? Because that hurts.
Their safety is her top priority. And that's why she was shocked when she heard who moved in across the street.
I feel like the state of Kansas, in a sense, has served our kids up on a platter.
Registered sex offender James Delgado was living in this house with his wife and 3 kids. Last year, Delgado was convicted of molesting a 13-year-old girl and sentenced to 120 days in jail in Kern County, California. A police report alleges one of his daughter's friends was spending the night when she awoke to Delgado rubbing her back. The girl described him slipping his hands under her clothes to rub other parts of her body, eventually stopping when she resisted. In a handwritten letter to the victim, Delgado wrote, "Honey, I'm so sorry for what I did to you. I want you to know that none of this is your fault, and I will get help."
I think it was just outrage.
Joanna and other neighbors couldn't imagine how Delgado could move onto their block with an elementary school and playground within plain sight. They assumed it was against the law. They were wrong.
I think it's just a huge misconception out there that there are restrictions on sex offenders.
As this neighborhood found out, Kansas does not restrict where sex offenders can live. State officials say the more restrictions, the less likely offenders are to check in with probation officers. They also say there's no research proving that keeping sex offenders far away from schools reduces the number of sex crimes against children. The Department of Corrections reached its conclusion about housing restrictions based on studies done in other states like Iowa, Minnesota, Colorado, and Florida.
For the simple reason that while they may make us feel better or think that we're safer, they in fact make us less safe.
Delgado followed the rules and registered on the Kansas Offender Registry, which is how neighbors learned of his past. But the Department of Corrections had no idea he was living in the state because probation officials in California did not give them the heads up. That means Kansas was not monitoring Delgado.
Does every state always get notified when someone is going to move and there should be a request for supervision? Obviously not. Does it happen frequently? No.
Officials tell NBC Action News that Delgado has since returned to California and is submitting a request to move to Olathe with his family.
Look, I'm not afraid that this guy's going to snatch my kid off the street.
But neighbors are trying to take action first. This week they met at Joanna's house with state lawmaker Rob Olson, asking him to write a bill that would restrict sex offenders from living near schools.
I wanted to get a feel from you guys tonight what I was looking for.
Even if a new law is passed, the damage has been done in this cul-de-sac. Delgado's family declined an interview but told me they've been ostracized. Signs with his face or sex offender websites have been posted around the neighborhood. And on one occasion, the Delgado family called police because they felt harassed.
Splash that way.
Joanna admits she and other parents have been on edge, choosing to keep their kids in the backyard instead of walking down to the school playground.
In order for us to be proved wrong, one of our kids has to get hurt.
When it comes to her family, she doesn't want to leave anything to chance. Right now, local governments in Kansas are prohibited from passing their own set of restrictions for sex offenders, meaning Olathe or other cities cannot act on their own. Representative Olson told me he plans to draft a bill after the November elections. Meantime, the Department of Corrections is reviewing Delgado's request to move back to Kansas, and as you might guess, neighbors are writing letters trying to stop that from happening. Ryan Katz, NBC Action News.